What's going on, guys? It's Netgear57, your virtual car friend. And before me today, I have my neighbor's first generation Honda Odyssey. I'm going to be doing timing belt on it. He's got a leak from the front main seal. And to get to the front main seal, you got to get to the timing belt. So it's one of those, you know, we may as well do it. We're doing most of the work for the timing belt just to get that front main seal. We may as well do the timing belt. He has 2 more years until it's due, so whatever, that's fine. But let's not get this timing belt out, and I wanted to talk to you guys about self-induced car problems. Self-induced car problems, you know, you buy a part, you buy an upgrade for your car, and you put it on, and then all of a sudden, your car's not running right anymore. Your car's doing something goofy. And, oh, you know, no way it can be this new part that I installed, because this thing is new. This thing is upgraded. This is a good part that I just bought and used. And yeah, you might completely be correct there. However, that's not to say that you didn't do something that caused this. And it happens, you know. We're only human, and it's even happened to little old me. And I'll give you some examples of it. So, a long time ago, my buddy had a G35, Infiniti G35, and we were going to do a plenum spacer on the car. He comes to my house because my house was like the designated, the place that we're going to work on a car spot. Oh, this is busted. Sucks. That sucks. We knocked this plenum spacer out, put it on. Cool, everything works great. And then we end up, you know, hanging out, drinking. Next day, he's like, "Hey, you know, my car is making a really weird sound. It sounds like a helicopter or something." And I'm like, "What? What? You know, that couldn't have been anything we did. That doesn't make any sense." Well, he comes, damn. I'm gonna get my 1/4-inch breaker bar here. So he comes by the house. Come to find out, when we did this plenum spacer, when we installed this plenum spacer, we got a wire pinched in between the intake and the plenum spacer. Golly! This is a valve cover, guys. Come on now. And that wire that was trapped there, I guess, created a very weird, small enough vacuum leak that it made that weird sound. So pulled that wire out of the way, bolted everything back up. Ow, fuck! I knew that was gonna happen. And you know, it was fixed. Along the way he went, he was happy. He had a plenum spacer that wasn't making a stupid sound anymore. But it happens. You know, something that you did, it wasn't the parts problem, it was, you know, user install error problems. And I think that's happened to everybody. This is where knowing about cars and what they do and how they work and what you're doing really comes into play. That makes a big difference, because if you know what you touched and you know what the things that you touched do, you can better diagnose your car screwing up like that after the fact. And I'll give you another, actually 2 examples that are pretty recent. My 240SX, I did manual transmission swap to it. And, you know, I was driving around and it's like, oh yeah, cool, we did it, you know. It runs good, it's shifting good, the clutch feels good, everything's good. Well, I finally end up taking it on the freeway for the first time, and I notice a vibration. A vibration after, let's say, around 45, 50 miles an hour. And immediately I thought, well, what did I do here? Well, first off, when a vibration is affecting your car at a certain speed, generally that's going to be a rotational vibration. What rotates? So what rotates while you're driving at those speeds? Your wheels. What did I change in my car? I changed the wheels. Then I thought, maybe I didn't torque the wheels down right. Maybe one of them is loose. Maybe the wheels are out of balance. They were used wheels. Maybe they were bent from the first place and that's why they were sold and they couldn't be balanced. What else rotates that can cause that I changed? The drive shaft. I changed the drive shaft. It was a brand new drive shaft, and an out of balance drive shaft can definitely cause that kind of vibration that I was feeling. Felt like it was coming from the back. So I'm thinking, either my rear tires, I didn't torque them down right, or they're bent, or the drive shaft is somehow out of balance, or I didn't tighten it to the rear end correctly. No. I know I torqued that thing down. There's no way. And I know I torqued the wheels down too, but let me see. Let me put this thing in the air, bring it in the garage. All the wheels are torqued correctly. Dang, that sucks. Well, maybe let me change the rear wheels to the front and see if that vibration goes to the front. But before I do that, I thought, let me put this thing all the way in the air and just look at the drive shaft just for shits and giggles, because I know I torqued that thing down. I lift the car up. Lo and behold, the drive shaft bolts to the rear end are not tight. They are not tight. And I thought, holy shit, how did I let this happen? How did I screw this up this bad? And when it happens, and it's human error. Why does, you get excited. You're done with this big job and you want to get out there and drive the car, and it's natural, Humans are going to forget things, and that's human error is the one thing that you can never really take out of the equation, because it's going to happen. Human error it's going to happen sooner or later, one way or another. Having that knowledge. What did I touch? What did the things I touch do? And how would those things I touched affect drivability? And using those tools that I had in my freaking brain toolbox, I was able to figure out what my issue was, and I remedied it, tightened the drive shaft down, took it for a drive, and it drove perfectly smooth. And all was well in the world. Thankfully, the drive shaft didn't fall off, but it happens. And it may not always be the part that you changed, because there's things that you touch on your car that you need to touch in order to get to a certain part. I remember one time I changed something on my wife's Honda Element that I moved a refrigerator in. What the hell was it? Idle air control valve or something? Or I don't know. I changed something, a sensor that required me to take off the intake, and I had to, disconnect the mass airflow and stuff like that. And I didn't plug the mass airflow or the idle air control valve back in. And when I turned the car on, I had a flashing check engine light, and I was like, oh my God, what the hell happened? Then I plugged my scanner in, read the code, went and looked, and it was a sensor that was obviously unplugged. Plugged it back in. Now that's fine. That sensor wasn't what I changed, but I needed to remove that in order to get to what I was changing. So that's another thing you got to keep in mind too. What did I touch to get there? Now again, more recently, this should come out now, right? So more recently, I have a suspicion that I have a leaky fuel injector on my Rodeo. I thought, let me diagnose this. Let me see if I can narrow it down that we do have a leaky fuel injector, or do we have a bad leaky fuel pump. So the way I did that was I connected the fuel pressure tester, and then I wanted to see if it was the check valve in the fuel pump that was allowing fuel towards the engine, but when it's off, the fuel doesn't flow back to keep the fuel pressure. So I wanted to see if that valve was no good on that fuel pump. Turn the ignition on, get the fuel pump primed, and then I went under the truck and clamped down the fuel feed line. Went to my gauge, and sure enough, my fuel pressure was still slowly dropping. It wasn't, completely dumping it, but it was dropping. There was no change when I closed off that fuel line. So what does that tell you? If it's not leaking from there, I put a new fuel pressure regulator on it. The last piece of the puzzle is the injectors. So it's leaking, dripping fuel into the cylinder while the car is just sitting there. So that to me said, okay, I have a bad fuel injector. Cool. Let me order some fuel injectors. I'll get a new intake manifold gasket while I'm there. Whatever. I got to take the intake back off, and whatever else I need to change. Okay, I'll do it while I'm there. So the next day, I was going to drive the rodeo somewhere. I go out there, turn the key, turn it on, crank. 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 That's weird. It's never done this before. What the hell? And I think, maybe, So I go back. What did I do yesterday? What did I touch? Maybe the Schrader valve somehow got stuck open and I'm just dumping fuel. Maybe there's an air pocket because of what I did in the fuel line, and I'll go touch the Schrader valve. So I go in there, open there's obviously no leaking fuel, so that immediately tells me that the Schrader valve wasn't stuck open. I poke it, then a little bit of fuel comes out, not much. I thought, oh man, what the heck? And then I remembered, did I take that clamp off the fuel line yesterday when I was testing the fuel pressure? I don't remember doing it. I don't think I did. Go under the truck, and sure enough, that clamp is still there on the fuel line. Take the clamp off, prime the fuel pump, truck starts right up. And that was an easy one, but that's, no harm, no foul on that. Car wouldn't start. It was what I did. It was what the user did. So always remember that. What did I touch? What did the things I touched do? And in this case, I plugged off the line, the feed line. If the engine's not getting fuel, the engine's not going to start. Again, that was what I did. Ended up causing this ghost problem. So when you're working on a car, keep that in mind. Keep those things in mind of how you're affecting and how you're changing the car. And that'll help you when these phantom problems come up, coincidentally after you worked on the car, because 9 times out of 10 it's not a coincidence. It happens. Sometimes things happen. You might have a coil pack shit the bed after your number 3 coil pack shits after you fixed your number 1 coil pack. But generally, it's going to be something that you did. So always remember what you did. Think about that, and yeah, that'll help you solve problems in the future. But yeah, tell me, guys. I know it's happened to you. I know it's happened to everybody, and I want to hear about it. Put it down below in the comments. Stuff that happened to you, things that you caused when you changed something. I changed the tire, and then my air filter fell off. Stuff like that. Yeah, put it down in the comments down below. I read all the comments. I like to hear your guys' stories. So let me know. I'd love to hear about it. I don't want to do this distracted. Not that you guys distract me. I like when you hang out with me. But I need to focus on the timing belt, because the timing belt's kind of important, and I don't want to introduce human error into this job. But thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one.